diesel engine parts industry. And as an authorized dealer, we've been serving Western Canada with those high-quality engine parts for highway trucks, farm machinery, heavy equipment, transit, and marine, and at a great price, too. Reach us at discountdiesel.ca and know that Discount Diesel's got the parts to get it done.
When it comes to sports in Edmonton,
Jason Gregor is a must-listen. He brings you the inside scoop with guests from across North America.
If it matters in sports, you'll hear it here first.
Gregor rolls out weekdays from 2 to 6 on Sports 1440. Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
This is Hoop City with Paul Sir on Sports
1440.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! We did it!
Here's your host, Paul Sir.
Good morning. Welcome to Hoop City. I'm with Josh Fenwick. Josh, how are you today?
I'm doing very, very well, Paul. Last day at the old bar last night, so I'm feeling good. It's a big weight off the old shoulders, so feeling good.
And just for our listeners and viewers, it's not because Josh is always going to the bar. It's a job.
It was a job. Yes, I'm all done. My days of getting a paycheck from working at a bar, and I'm quite amped up about it.
Well, and the great thing is that means you're going to be spending more time here at Sports 1440.
Oh yeah. I'll married to my work. Is that how we'll say this? I'll be married to my work for a long time.
Well, it's great to have you here,
yeah.
And really excited about the show today. Our playlist. By the way, you can listen online on YouTube. Josh sent out a great X post. It has a link directly to YouTube. It also has a link to listen to us online if you're not in the listening area for our live broadcast today. I'm so glad you're with us today. And of course, after the show is over, all of the content on the show is available on your favorite podcast network. Our text line is 833-401-1440. Again, 833-401-1440. We welcome any and all comments, questions, and insights from you. We get lots of great insights. My playlist today, Paul's playlist, is best rock and pop love songs. So we've got some pretty schmaltzy, syrupy stuff. You know, Josh, I was thinking about doing edgy love songs, and so I went online and started to get a selection. And I go, you know what? They're really edgy, and they're just a little too edgy for me. So I'm going to go back to my comfort zone, and we'll do a little, we're going to do more sugar-coated cotton candy stuff. So, Josh, how about our poll question for the day?
Yeah, our poll question for the day is, should the NBA immediately change the 65-game requirement for MVP voting? Potential exclusives from the MVP balloting include SGA, Luka, Giannis, and Jokic. So should they change it? Yes or no? It's on our X, Hoop City Show, at Hoop City Show. So go out there and check that out.
Yeah, I think it's a relevant question because now with SGA's injury forcing him to take off significant time, and he still may very well meet the 65-game requirement, but there's so many injuries happening right now, and the intent of the rule for the 65 games was to prevent teams from the dreaded resting of key players when they weren't hurt, but they just wanted to rest them. It all started, I think, primarily as a formal strategy with Greg Popovich and the Spurs with Kawhi Leonard back in the day when the Spurs were battling year after year for titles. So this was not the intention. And you also have a minutes requirement, I believe, in there, Josh. It's not just 65 games. It's also
You have to play 20 minutes,
Yeah.
minimum of 20 minutes in those games.
Yeah, so it's so, and you could actually exceed that. You could actually exceed the number of minutes in total, but not play the number of games that you need. And when you start talking about players that are impacting the game in the way that they are, I would say this is a critical decision that I think should be made, but I doubt will be made, because in fairness to the NBA and Adam Silver, to change a policy like that as the season goes on, that's tough. But on the other hand, when you've got a potential for these top athletes, and I mean the top 4 candidates for MVP being out through no fault of their own, and also, and here's something that I'd like your feedback on, Josh.
Sure.
Also, like in the case of Jokic, he's still not himself. And I wonder, did he come back a bit early because of this requirement? I'm only speculating that might enter into the thinking that went into Jokic's return. It also could be that he's just a competitor. And by the way, we have a very interesting guest that I'll tell you about in a little bit about Jokic being from Serbia and Serbian basketball in general. But what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, like, I can see where you're coming from, but also it was an hyperextension of his knee. Like, once you're better, like, you're not that much better. Speaking as a guy who'd never hyperextended his knee, but has been watching the NBA for a while, it's like it's going to take a while for him to come back to 100%. So once he was at like 75% or 80, he's like, yeah, I'm good to come back. Like, we'll get that 100% eventually. And also, Nikola Jokic at 80% of his max power is still so much better than other guys in the NBA. It's an unfair advantage.
And you know what? That's really a great point, because I think that that's where two principles collide, because one of the criticisms of athletes in the NBA right now is they don't play hurt. And when you listen to the old school guys, they're talking about they're practically broken legs around the court, just being able to compete, and that the modern athlete is too soft. So I think you make a valid point. But anyway, I think it's an interesting poll question, and I'll look forward to what our listeners have to say. Yes or no? Should the NBA immediately change the 65-game requirement for MVP voting? We also have our NBA Legends contest. We have, and this is how it works. I want you to tell us which NBA legend you would like to talk about. And we're not just talking about the high-profile stars from the past. The requirement is that they are not playing today. So they're no longer in the league. So what NBA legend would you like to discuss today? Text your suggestion into 1-833-401-1440. We will select it at the top of the hour, and then we will send you a T-shirt. We need to get your size or your mailing address, but we will then talk about that in our final segment today. Okay, show lineup today. Alan Horton, play-by-play voice of the Minnesota Timberwolves, is going to be with us talking about the new acquisition of Ayo Dosunmu and the impact that that's going to have on the Wolves for the rest of the season. Are the Wolves performing up to expectations, or do they have a ways to go and improvements to make? Ryan Wolstad, beat writer for the Toronto Raptors for the Toronto Sun, will be joining us. We're going to talk about the inactivity in the recent draft by the Raptors. Was that the right way to go, to stick with this lineup, with this talent pool for the remainder of the year, which I think by all estimates has been very successful to this point? We also have on our community champion this week. Her name is Samantha Ringette. Samantha is a local coach in high school, also in club in 3x3. Samantha is a real dynamo and making a huge impact, particularly for young girls, young women in our community. And then we have a former player of mine at Concordia University, Milos Prijovic. And as you can guess by his name, Milos is Eastern European. He is from Serbia. He played junior college basketball down in the United States, came to Concordia, became an All-Canadian, outstanding player. And what we want to talk to Milos about in our deep dive today is why Serbia? How can Serbia continue to produce such high-level athletes in a country that is so small? It's about a third the size of Canada's population. It's around 10 million. And they continue to pump out athletes like Nikola Jokic. Their national team should have beaten the Americans in the Paris Olympics. They did everything but beat them. So we're going to talk to Milos about that in our last conversation segment. So let's jump to 3+1 today.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, number one. I want to hear some rankings from for your early trade results. How are you feeling? Harden, Dosunmu, Alvarado, Zubac, all of them. How are we feeling?
Harden is a big plus. I did a blog recently, and I gave that trade an A+. And the reason it's very early, of course. It's only been a couple of games. But what you can see is the level of player that James Harden is. For a couple of years in his career, Harden was the best player in the NBA. He averaged over 37 points a game. But beyond that, as he now is 37 years old, with James Harden, you've got a guy who's a tremendous passer, but he can still break down his defender when you need to, when you get deep into the shot clock, and he makes everybody else better. That's great for Donovan Mitchell, who's going to be a great player almost regardless of who his running mate is at the guard position. But I think what you're seeing with Harden is he's making the bigs on Cleveland. He's going to make them much better. Jarrett Allen, who's oftentimes a single-digit scorer, has scored in the high 20s in the 2 games that Harden plays because all he has to do is set a screen for Harden, who's fantastic out of the pick and roll to the basket, and Harden's going to put it on target on time for a big guy like that to finish. So Harden's A+. I really like the acquisition of Dosunmu from Chicago for Minnesota. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk with Alan Horton about that acquisition, a big gap in the Timberwolves' lack of depth, but also lack of true point guard play. I think I would give that an A. Alvarado, I'll tell you what, you want to watch a fun guy to watch. He is fantastic. He plays for the New York Knicks. Jose Alvarado, he is from New York. He plays like a New Yorker, the stereotypic New Yorker, tough, gritty, hard-nosed, fearless, in your face. Great running mate alongside Jalen Brunson, and also a great player to bring in for Brunson, where you don't have the big drop-off that the Knicks have struggled with when Brunson's been out of the rotation. So Alvarado's great. Zubac, I really like him in Boston. I don't think they've quite maximized him yet, but the thought of Zubac being with the Celtics, who have, as well as the Raptors have done, I would have to say that the Celtics' performance has been I would say an even higher level of surprise than the Raptors, because with Jason Tatum, former MVP, out of the lineup for the year with his Achilles rupture, I don't think anybody expected this from the Celtics. And now with Zubac and the rumors now that Tatum may very well be ready and be back before the end of the season, or at least for playoffs. If that happens, that looks like a real nice trade as well.
It's all looking very good. And
I love those midseason shakeups, by the way.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they're just change the way it changes dynamics amongst the team. So very, very interesting. So yeah, been fun to watch, honestly.
Yeah. All right, over to number 2, Chris Paul. He's officially retired. Raptors waive him about 20 minutes later. Him and the other 29 teams in the NBA decided, nope, it's time to hang them up. Is he in the top 5 of all-time great players to not win a championship?
Now, I have to be transparent on this. I stole this from NBA Radio on my way in to the station today. And the reason I did is I thought it was a compelling question, because Chris Paul's career, for me, is polarizing. Unbelievable. 21 years, unbelievable. Sounds like he's the kind of guy that is an acquired taste, even though he's been the president, the player rep, president for the NBA Players Association. So he has tremendous leadership qualities in his personality, both as a player and as a person. But he also has a reputation about being difficult to get along with. Be that as it may, fantastic career, but never was able to take any team that he played on to the promised land, sometimes because of injury, sometimes because, quite honestly, I mean, Chris Paul, small in stature, could really be isolated on defense. And as great as he wasn't as great as I think a lot of other people that I would put well ahead of him. I would say he's in the top 15. But when you look at players like Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone, and then you start building your list out of players that I think had much more impactful careers, that I would put him top 15, definitely. But I'm not the Chris Paul fan that a lot of people are about how great he was. I thought he was really, really good. But would I take, John Stockton, would you pick, who would you take? Would you take John Stockton or Chris Paul if you were putting your team together, both of them at their peak, Josh?
Yeah, no. So it's an interesting question. We actually brought this up after Chris Paul retired earlier this week. I think I personally would.
You would take Chris Paul over Stockton?
Strong defender. I mean, like, I also got to watch him play. I know everything about John Stockton. He leads the NBA all time in assists, but he could also pass it down to Karl Malone. He'd dribble for 9 seconds, and then he would put up, get a basket. Then he got an assist. So it's a little bit, but nonetheless.
Now, this is from a hockey guy.
Whoa.
The hockey assist is one of the most
the secondary assist is dumb.
The most perplexing point. When a guy passes it up, the secondary assist just baffles me.
Listen, I don't ask me to explain the hockey assist.
But I will correct you on one thing. At the time Stockton played, that was not the case for an assist. They have liberalized the assist rules in the time since Stockton retired. At the time, Stockton and Malone were a tandem. I forget what it was, but it might have been one dribble.
Ooh,
might have been two. So it was not. I don't think it's how you're portraying it. I think it was much simpler, much more direct, like what I would call a true assist.
Way to call me on it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go over to number 3. Jazz and the Pacers both fined for tanking. Jazz $500,000, Pacers $100,000. How should the NBA address this?
Well, I think it was a knee-jerk reaction on the part of Adam Silver. I think he's trying to send a message out to these teams that it's way too early to tank. And in fairness to Silver, the Utah Jazz have come up with quite a creative formula where they feel like they found the loophole and the way to beat the letter of the law, but still be honoring. And honor is not the right word, but still they found a way. I think they found a way to tank without breaking the letter of the law. And that is by playing your stars for the first 3 quarters. And then in the last quarter, regardless of the score, putting your bench in. This is an interesting dilemma to me. Like I said, Silver sending a message. If this continues, I think the fines are going to get stiffer. There might be suspensions. Who knows? Because it is a horrible reflection on the NBA. This is where tanking and draft positioning and your future vision for your team all come into play in a league that pays people outrageous amounts of money, where the expectation rightfully should be by the fans, your customers, your viewers, to have the best efforts and the best players on the court every night. And that, whether you have 8 wins or 80 wins, it doesn't matter. To the paying public, it should be the same. That's what is owed. To me, that's the contract of turning on the TV, paying for your subscription to watch the games, or more importantly, paying for the tickets, which are very, very expensive, and going to the games. But on the flip side, you put in these restrictive covenants to make sure teams aren't tanking. You open the door for this. So it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. I don't disagree with what Silver did, but I can understand what the Angels are doing in Utah and what the Pacers are doing too, because the draft coming up is a critical draft for so many teams because the talent pool is so deep.
Yeah, and also like I think the Jazz. Hey guys, you've been bad for what's
For
the
a long
anniversary
time.
on the Gobert trade now? 4 years ago.
Yeah.
You've been bad for 4 years. Like you've been rebuilding, and whoops, Danny Ainge is a good GM. He drafted good players. And then you traded for Jaren Jackson Jr., who only makes your team better. And now you're like, okay, this year, then we're done. You know, and it's like when you're looking at Halloween candy, you're like, okay, I can just have one more tonight, and then I'm done. It's like you built a good team, and now you're like, oh man, I can't believe we built a good team. How could we do this to ourselves going into this draft?
Yeah. Like what do we have to do to compete for one of the top picks in this draft? And because we made ourselves better, we've got to come up with a new strategy. I couldn't agree with you more.
Exactly. And then I don't know. I think honestly, if this continues, it has to get harsher. We were figuring out punishments for this or whatever. I said affect their draft odds. If you're actively tanking and in the way that the Jazz are, it's like you got to take away something that they really want, because the Jazz are valued at like $4 billion. $500,000 is the equivalent of me giving you a dime right now and being like, there you go, Paul.
100%.
Treat yourself.
100%.
Anyways.
We're going to take the +1 and we're going to push that into the last hour because we really want to get to Alan Horton right now, Josh.
Works for me.
So we'll take a break right now. You're listening to Hoop City with Paul Sir, Josh Fenwick on your sports leader, Sports 1440.
Sports 1440, Edmonton's sports leader.
Welcomes you to the basketball show.
They do have a time.
Saturday mornings live on Sports 1440.
Powered by Subaru.
A top safety pick for unmatched peace of mind. Visit Subaru.ca.
Winter snow and ice are nothing to fear when the Lawnmower Hospital's in your corner. Keep pathways clear of snow with the Echo PB770T backpack blower. Or go even bigger with the huge PB9010T. Right now, buy select commercial walk-behind BCS sweepers and get the Echo PB9010T for free. The Lawnmower Hospital has pet-safe, plant-safe ice melt too. Visit lawnmowerhospital.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
People you know will go hungry tonight. Your local food bank is like a beacon, reaching out to those in need, offering warmth, food, and hope. Visit foodbankscanada.ca and help them serve hope on a plate, because no one should weather life's hurricanes alone.
Our first Valentine's Day together, he made me grilled cheese. Now we've been married 10 years, and he's treating me to heavenly surf and turf.
Nah, I just never learned to cook. I just found out about Catch of the Week. Nothing will charm your lover like Catch of the Week Surf and Turf. First, we cook up fresh lobster for you at no charge. Then you add a steak, and voila, Surf and Turf supper. Add our jumbo shrimp to really impress.
Catch of the Week in Gold Bar Center. Online at catchoftheweekedmonton.com. Edmonton's best seafood.
When you hit the ice, it's all about you and your skates. The stride, the feel, the glide, the power, the performance. Why trust your skates to a grinding machine, or even worse, a tournament parent in a parking lot? At Aligned Custom Skate Performance in Sherwood Park, the art of skate fitting and sharpening is customized to the athlete.
Aligned Custom Skate Performance, where precision meets passion. Oh.
Visit AlignedSkate.com to learn more.
Wow, your living room is so vibrant. That blue chair is stunning.
I finally ditched my 90s furniture for something with actual color.
Neutral is out. Color is in. Today's modern furniture embraces a playful palette that'll transform your space. Mobler Modern Furniture's best-selling blue chair is just the beginning of your colorful home makeover.
Browse online, then try before you buy in store.
The place to cheer for Canada loud and proud is Selly's Sports Bar and Lounge. The ultimate sports bar to watch the ultimate winter events. Not a bad seat in the house, tons of big screens, and a first place menu with something for everyone. Small bites, big bites, game night food and drink features. Cheer on Canada's team at Selly's. At all 3 Century Casino locations, Edmonton, St. Albert, and Century Mile.
Every day is game day at Century Casino.
Hi, it's Mandy from Jack's Drive-In. They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And at Jack's Drive-In, we make breakfast quick, delicious, and priced right all day long. Enjoy our popular Eggs Benny Express or try our very own cheddar cheese omelet sandwich. Start your day here, jacksdrivein.ca.
Rolotech Sex Drive-In Screws Grow.
Been there? Scrap that. Metal Neck Salvage.
With public scrapyard locations in Camrose and Drayton Valley, they'll even come to you. Metal Necks has the trailers and equipment to haul anything away, and not just the good stuff. They'll take it all and pay you more. Their crew also tackles farm, oil field, and industrial site cleanups. Book now for winter. Plus, demolition and roll-off bin services. Details at metalnecks.ca and on Facebook.
Taking care of their customers one piece at a time. Metal Neck Salvage.
This is Hoop City with Paul Sir on Sports 1440.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! We did it!
Here's your host, Paul Sir.
Welcome back to Hoop City. Really pleased to be joined this morning once again by Alan Horton, the longtime great voice of the Minnesota Timberwolves radio play-by-play. Alan, thanks so much for joining us today.
Paul, thanks. How are you? You got me at all?
Now we got you.
There we go.
Yeah, we're there.
I'm great, Paul. How are you?
Doing great. Really excited to have you on. Going into the All-Star break, the Timberwolves made a strategic move that I think for a lot of the long-suffering Timberwolves fans who have been holding their breath a bit about the Wolves being able to find somebody to help out in the guard position. The acquisition was Ayo Dosunmu from the Chicago Bulls. Alan, what are your thoughts on your first impressions about how Dosunmu is going to fit into this rotation for the Wolves?
Yeah, I think Timberwolves fans have every right to be excited because you basically added another 6 Man of the Year candidate to your bench. Before the trade, it was really all about Naz Reid. And as good as Naz has been, he was accounting for close to 45% of the Wolves bench scoring. That's the highest rate in the league, which really tells you how good he's been, but also the lack of depth the Wolves have had on that bench and having some extra firepower. You add Ayo, who's averaging right what Naz is off the bench. I mean, you've got 2 15-point-a-game scorers now. And with the way Bones Highland is playing, he's become much more consistent. Chris Finch has tried to get him to stack some more good performances, and he's starting to do that. All of a sudden, you have a really solid 8-man rotation with kind of Jalen Clark being that 8.5 to 9th man who's maybe getting 5 to 10 minutes a game and, can certainly still work his way into it. There's still TJ Shannon for the Wolves to turn to. So I think the Wolves have some good options coming off the bench. But as most coaches get towards the end of the season and toward the playoffs, it's shortening the rotation. And Chris Finch likes to be at 8 or 9. And I think he's got a really solid 8 that he feels pretty good about going forward.
Well, and I think you really encapsulated it very well to have 2 15-point scorers coming off the bench. Plus, what I love about Dosunmu is he's long, he's athletic, he can really guard. So he fits into that need that the Wolves have had at the guard position to be able to come in and make a defensive impact on the game as well.
Yeah, he can do a lot of different things. I mean, he's great in transition. He's a good defender. When he's on the floor, it's attack mode. It's transition mode. It's running up the floor. There's only been 3 games with him a part of the lineup, but there was a fast break in one of those 3 games that had Bones and Ayo running together, and that's about as fast as the Wolves that I can remember. The Wolves having 2 players that were that quick and moving the ball up the floor. So it's pretty exciting what he can bring.
That really is. That's that to hear you say it that way and put it into that context, because the Wolves, with all the success they've had in the last 2 seasons in the playoffs and getting to the Western Conference Final, you would never associate those words of that fast, electric, dynamic, fast breaking. The greatness of Ant, yes. Randall's impact on the game, absolutely. McDaniel's continuing to evolve into such an effective player. But now to have that additional dimension from both Bones and Ayo, that's really exciting for the Wolves because, and this is the next question I'd ask you, Alan. There's a comment, there's a description of the Wolves, this is actually mine, and I'm not sure it's accurate, but I'm curious about your thought on it. Inconsistent excellence. Because when they're good, they're really good. But when they're bad, they're perplexing.
Yeah.
And so that I think is one of the observations that a lot of people have had about the Wolves this year. Now, I don't think there's really any excuses as long as they're healthy to be as inconsistent as they might have been up to this point.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because, Paul, it's, we track a lot of different things during the course of a season when you're doing radio and TV play-by-play. You're looking at home road splits. You're looking at your record versus good teams versus bad teams. You're looking at different lineups, all these different factors, trying to look for trends and storylines. And really what we've learned about this Timberwolves team is that it's pretty simple. I don't think the opponent matters in the sense that if the Wolves play to their potential, they can beat anybody. And if they don't play their potential, it can look really bad and they can lose to anybody. That has been played out because they've beaten Oklahoma City twice. They've beaten San Antonio twice. So they've beaten the two best teams in the Western Conference and been right with there toe-to-toe, exchanging blows and winning those games. And then they've had losses to Sacramento. They've had a loss to Utah. They've had a loss to most of the teams towards the bottom of the standings. Memphis is in there as well. So it really is about, it's just another reminder too, when you play basketball into almost June every year, which the Wolves have done the last 2 years, it's hard to maintain this level of excellence for that period of time. It's almost 100 games a year when you include the preseason. It's a grind. I mean, the really great teams can do it. Oklahoma City did last year, but I think we're starting to see that take its toll a little bit. I mean, it's a grind. It's such a grind. And the Wolves aren't one of those great teams. They haven't been to a finals. They haven't won a title. They haven't reached the goal of excellence yet. But they're a really good team. And even for good teams, you're going to have those ups and downs. So they were 20-10 going into Christmas Day at Denver. They lose that game in overtime. They lose 3 out of 4. Then they win 6 out of 7. Then they lose 5 in a row. Then they win 4 straight. Then they lose 3 out of 4. Now they've won 2 in a row. So, that's that inconsistency that you're talking about, the ups and downs, the peaks and valleys, kind of during the dog days of the season when it's tough to get motivated. It's cold. It's dark outside. There are lots of rumors going around about trade deadline coming up. I mean, the Wolves have had to deal with that for the better part of a month, leading into that trade deadline. And then there's all-star voting and that kind of stuff, which I think affected Julius Randle a little bit. So, when you're rumored to pick up a guy like Giannis, it involves almost everybody on your team because almost everybody on your team is bantied about in the package that would go to get Giannis. And I think that really affected the team a lot, depending on the day and depending on what guys had heard, what guys are thinking, how they're feeling, all that kind of stuff. So it's always a good time of year to get past the All-Star break, get dialed in. And Chris Finch has done a really good job. In his 4 full seasons, the Wolves have the 4th best record post All-Star break. So they've been dialed in at the right time of year.
Really well put. And I'm talking to Alan Horton, play-by-play voice of the Minnesota Timberwolves here on Hoop City on Sports 1440. That description. Now, of all of the human factors, and I think a lot of times we as fans have a hard time remembering these are still dudes out there playing a game, and all of these different distractions, all of these different influences can affect their performance. I do want to ask you about a couple of players. I love the development of McDaniels personally. I think if the Wolves will stick with this kid, that what he's going to continue to evolve into 2 years from now, I'm saying 2 years, but it may be sooner than that, may take a little bit longer. But he is evolving to such a diverse talent, and his scoring is becoming more and more consistent. He's becoming deadlier from the outside, and he's becoming craftier on the inside. I just think he's a guy you buy into. When I heard about, when everybody was talking about the rumor of Giannis, and Giannis is an exciting, dynamic player. But man, oh man, I was glad that didn't happen. And I personally hope it doesn't happen in the offseason. Might. Hope, and if it does, great. Hope it works out. But I just am such a believer in McDaniels. And of course, there's other players I want to touch on with you as well. But give me your impressions of the kind of season that McDaniels is having.
I think the Wolves have seen that same thought you had from the very get-go, because he's long, he can defend. He's
6'10".
Yeah, you can see all these attributes that he's got. And Wolves fans have kind of been waiting for a season like this. And sometimes it just takes time. Sometimes you have to be patient. You have to go through the growing pains. Someone just doesn't all of a sudden jump to that level that Jaden is right now, where he's basically, a 15-point, 5 rebound, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block guy, which is elite company in the league. There's not a lot of guys that are doing that. It's single digits. And even Jaden, with the great season he's had, is still not at that level. I think his steals are a little bit below 1 per game, but and he's guarding the opponent's best player every night. And over the last 2 games, he's just been sensational. Not only offensively, shooting it efficiently, being aggressive, getting out in transition. It looks like he's taken out some frustration on the rim. He's gotten about 5 dunks in the last 2 games, which is the most he's had in a 2-game span this season. And he's also holding opponents to 33% shooting when he's the primary defender over the last 2 games. So he's really given you a glimpse the last 2 games of what he's capable of. Again, I think probably the biggest thing you're looking for is consistency. He has stacked those kind of games together. Oftentimes it's been with a teammate out. Sometimes Ant's been out or someone else has been out of the lineup, and he's kind of stepped up his game. But he's doing this now with everybody healthy, and that's a huge sign. You have to have balance. I think one thing the Wolves learned when they got to the Western Conference Finals last year against OKC was that, OKC really didn't defend Rudy Gobert, and they really didn't defend Jaden McDaniels. You can't have, if you're going to be successful at that level, you have to have all guys being a threat at the offensive end. And I think the Wolves are a much more dangerous team with the way Jaden's playing and the way they're involving Rudy Gobert this year that makes them more dangerous at that end of the floor.
I love that you point that out about Rudy, because he takes a lot for a guy that's as impactful as he is on the defensive end of the ball. He takes a lot of grief for being what I would call an old school type of center, back to the basket big, not really going to catch the ball and do something with it in a fluent way. But the fact that the Wolves are making that effort consistently, night in and night out, to get him involved, so that when the playoffs come, he doesn't have one game where he has 20 and 20, and then the next game he has 4 and 10. To get that kind of consistency is going to make them so much tougher, because you've got all the other weapons around him now, but that puts the pressure on the defense to not be able to just, as you point out, OKC did, forget about him. Talk about Ant and what you continue to see from this marvelous young talent.
Yeah, just up-and-coming player. Every year he gets better and better and more dominant and more dominant. I think I'll use the word consistency again, because Ant has had monster games and it has been dialed in. The team is like, I just looked back a couple of weeks ago to when OKC came into town, and the Wolves, Paul, have never felt a game in the regular season that was that intense right from the opening tip. And Ant hit a 3 on the Wolves' first offensive possession. I've never heard the arena react on a regular season opening bucket like it was that big. The crowd was that into it. The team was that into it, and they absolutely dominated OKC that night. But that's, Ant wants to get to that next level, right? He wants to be up there with some of the all-time greats, and the name Michael Jordan is always kind of associated with him. And what I think about when those guys were doing their thing is that those guys brought that kind of level every single night. They had that killer mentality night in, night out, even if it's a Tuesday night against Utah or a Thursday night in February in Charlotte. Michael Jordan wanted to rip your heart out, and just Ant hasn't had that kind of consistent performance at both ends of the floor for 48 minutes. That's a lot to ask. I mean, that's a superstar level, but that's kind of where he's at, right? He's got that talent. We know he can do it against some of the better teams, but he's got to do it on a more consistent basis. And it's part of the reason why the Wolves have struggled in some of the games where their focus has not been there. Their attention to detail has not been there. They lose to New Orleans. They lose to the teams I mentioned earlier, Utah, Memphis, Sacramento. Those are losses that, a handful can be okay during the year. Everybody's going to have those. But I think the Wolves have passed the point where they've gone past the point where it's okay to have 3 or 4 of those, not 7 or 8 of those. And that's kind of been the problem. And I think when you look at those losses, I think Ant leads the way. He's the leader of the team. And I think he's got to accept, he talks about it after the game. He just, I didn't have it. I wasn't there. It was tough to get motivated. And that's got to change if he wants to get to that next level and bring the team along with him.
You use the comparison to Michael Jordan and I think that's a valid one. And I think oftentimes what isn't understood about Jordan is, with all of his physical greatness, with all of his offensive accomplishments and the way that he retooled his game as he aged, all of those things that people talk about often, you hit the key point. He wanted to rip your heart out. And what I remember about Michael Jordan is how he played when he was playing badly.
Mm-hmm.
He still was on defense. He didn't take a play off. And, he didn't take games off or plays off. He didn't show up. He didn't mope. He never dropped his head. He competed in every play, even when he was going 4 for 20 on a particular night. Michael Jordan had those nights where he was dreadful on offense. Not a lot, but what he didn't have was the motivation to win. And I do agree with you. When you watch Ant play, he becomes conditional in certain situations. And I think you make the great point. A couple of times, yeah, but not. There's a pattern here that on certain nights, all of a sudden you just sort of see his effort evaporate and his focus evaporate, and it seems to permeate to the other members of the team.
Yeah, it starts at the defensive end, whereas when he's on ball and dialed in, he can be one of the best on ball defenders in the NBA. It's normally off ball where he's kind of maybe catching his breath, or maybe the attention to the focus isn't quite there, and boom, someone cuts back door, or he's just playing too far off a shooter that you can't allow any space at the 3-point line. So that kind of consistency has to be dialed up. But the good news is that Ant has shown that once you get to the postseason, he can do all that. His numbers start to rise, his intensity rises. But the regular season does matter, as long as it is, and as much of a grind as it is. It matters. It matters where you're seated. You don't want to be slipping into that top 6. You want to be a solid top 4. The Wolves would love to have home court advantage in the first round. That's something they haven't had and didn't have last season. So it's all there for Ant, and I think he knows it. The other place it shows up too, I think, is offensively, when he tries to do a little too much one-on-one, 0 pass possessions, coming right up, and we know he can hit the step back 3, and he's a fantastic one-on-one player, but you don't want to rely on that. That's one of the reasons the Wolves have blown out their last 2 opponents. 2 teams they should beat, the Atlanta Hawks and who did we just play? Someone else that was struggling. Portland. Well, yep. Portland's not bad, but the Wolves played team basketball. They moved the basketball, and guess what? Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards still got their points. Julius had a triple-double last game, had 41 points. Ant still getting 30 2 games ago against Atlanta. You play the right way, the basketball gods reward you. Everybody kind of feasts, and those guys can still get their numbers. They don't have to say, you know what, I need to get my points right now. No, if you play the right way, the ball will come back to you, and oftentimes it comes back to you in a better position than you going 1-on-5 and trying to score.
Isn't that the truth? And for great players, that is awfully hard, especially if you've been putting in a lesser effort through the first part of the game, and you're trying to wake yourself up and you're trying to get out of your slumber. Then you start forcing things to try to get going again. But like you said, in this Wolves team, if they play as a team, wow, could they ever be a force to be reckoned with in the Western Conference this year?
Hey, Paul, one other thing. That's the thing, is like you're also trying to change human nature. Correct. I think in this day and age, the way guys grow up and play in the AAU circuit, and Ant's always been the best player on his team, his nature is to try to beat the other opponents. He wasn't on a very good Georgia team, so he had to kind of carry that load, and oftentimes had to go 1-on-1, 1-on-2, 1-on-3. And so you're trying to, this goes for all young, I think, superstars that come up. You're trying to break that habit of trying to do it all yourself. I think the intention is right. The intention is he wants to win. He wants his team to win. But how you go about it, that's the way you're trying to break kind of the mold or the thought process of from young star players, that they don't have to do it all themselves. If you trust the coach, if you trust your teammates, you can achieve greatness, and it doesn't have to be as hard as you'd like to make it.
Those dreaded letters, AAU. That world that's both great and perplexing at the same time.
Yeah.
Alan, it's an absolute pleasure to talk to you again. Thank you for making time today. I know how busy you are. I hope we can talk again before the end of the season. And here's fingers crossed for the Wolves to have a great run post All-Star break, and that they get in that top four and have home court.
Yeah,
or the playoffs when they come.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
It'd be
Paul,
great.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Likewise. Have a great weekend. Alan Horton, play-by-play voice of the Minnesota Timberwolves, joining us here on Hoop City. When we come back, we're going to talk about Canada's own Toronto Raptors with Ryan Woolstat. Stay tuned. You're listening to Sports 1440.
Saturday mornings live on Sports 1440. Powered by Subaru. Engineered for Canadian winters. Visit Subaru.ca.
Fuel the fight against diabetes. Join hands with Diabetes Canada and power change for millions. Your support funds research, care, and education, spreading a healthier future. Whether you're stepping up in sneakers or giving a helping hand, every action counts. Let's rewrite the story of diabetes with hope, unity, and progress. Visit diabetescanada.ca and contribute to making a difference. Together, we're building a world where diabetes takes a back seat. Rally behind the cause and be a force for positive change.
This Valentine's Day, love is in the air and in the oven, too. Say it from the heart with fresh, homemade Valentine's Day treats from Farmhouse Bakery in Camrose. From the moment you walk in, you're surrounded by the warm aroma of baking made from scratch with real ingredients. Perfect for your loved one or just for yourself. Fresh baked goodies, warm from the oven, sweet to the soul. Farmhouse Bakery, where every bite is a love story. Next to Dairy Queen, Camrose.
Well, howdy, folks. I'm Mr. REA, here for Battle River Power Co-op. So, what is an REA? It stands for Rural Electrification Association, but you can just call us a power co-op. See, we're owned by folks like you. So instead of big corporations calling the shots, your neighbors do. That means fair prices, local control, and service from people who live in your community. Pretty neat, huh? Battle River Power Co-op. Member owned, community powered.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Edmonton sports fans, stay informed with Sports 1440. Stream us. Listen to us on the AM dial. However you consume this radio station, thanks for listening.
When your driveway's covered in snow, Toro and the Lawnmower Hospital have you covered. Toro's gas or battery-powered single-stage power clear snowblowers make it easy to clear right down to the concrete with incredible Toro-powered Propel technology. Face the next snow day without fear thanks to Toro and the Lawnmower Hospital. Visit lawnmowerhospital.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
Diablo Boots sells only Canadian-made work and biker boots made by Canada West. No American or boots made in China, so no tariffs. All of Diablo's boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. Sizes 6 to 14 EEE. Buy quality, buy Canadian. And support Canada West and Diablo, the two best names in the boot business. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Buy Canadian. They're terrific.
Wondering what to get your sweetheart this Valentine's Day? How about the gift of from Metal Supermarkets? They sell it, cut it, and bend it fast. Nothing says love like a sheet of solid steel to last a lifetime, just like your affection. Or you could do the old box of chocolate thing. So predictable. Be better. Metal Supermarkets, the local convenience stores for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
If you've got a smart speaker, get it to play Sports 1440.
And it doesn't matter when you listen as we roll out the Sports Talk
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Edmonton's home for sports radio is Sports 1440. This is Hoop City with Paul Sir on Sports 1440.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! We did it!
Here's your host, Paul Sir.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Power of Love, Huey Lewis in the News, one of the great 80s rock love ballads. Speaking of great, we have the great Toronto Raptors reporter from the Toronto Sun joining us right now, Ryan Woolstat. Ryan, how you doing? We have a little technical glitch here. Let's see if we can get that figured out. Josh is working feverishly. Raptors have had a fantastic first part of the season. It's going to be very interesting in the post-All-Star break how this team comes together and how the existing personnel that they have assembled, how they're able to continue the kind of play that they've had so far, which I think is safe to say and has been said many times by many people, exceeded expectations. How are we doing here, Josh?
We're just trying to get in contact with Ryan right now. I'm just shooting him a call. I think he accidentally sent me to voicemail, but
okay,
we'll get there in a second.
All right. We'll get there in just a second. Last night, they had the Rising Stars games. I'll just tell you about Sean East, the fantastic CEBL player that we had in Edmonton with the Stingers last year. Sean played in the game, had 2 points, but, that was never the point for Sean. The point was being selected to be in that elite company, to be able to go out there and compete against some of the great young talent in the NBA. That's just wonderful for both Ryan, the Stingers, and also let's throw in the CEBL into that as well. VJ Edgecombe from Philadelphia was the MVP of the games. They played hard. The rookies and second-year players played hard. It was actually somewhat entertaining to watch. I'm not saying I'm a huge fan, but hey, okay, so it's great to see the effort because we know tomorrow the effort's going to be spotty at best. Ryan, welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Thanks for having me. Sorry about the technical issues. Next time I'll pay the internet bill.
Technology is great when it works, so it's good. But it's most important thing is we have you on right now. All right, Ryan. I guess what I would describe the activity that actually the results of the trade flurry that was going on that people were all hyped about and talking about what teams were going to do what with whom. The Raptors are one of those teams that made a very, very minor adjustment, bringing in a big, and pretty much it was stated clearly by the Raptors president, Bobby Webster, that they're going to stick with their present crew and ride this through because, as I said in my opening remarks, I think the Raptors' success so far has been beyond expectations. What are your thoughts? Did they do the right thing by sticking to what they have, by adding a big, because the one gaping hole has been Jakob Poeltl's back problems? So did they do the right things by staying the course?
Yeah, I think they were pretty limited in their options. Like they didn't have, in past years, they've had sort of some like nice cap ballast, you could say, like a Bruce Brown or friend Kelly Olynyk. They had different they could use, and like that's how they got like a Brandon Ingram last year. This year they didn't really have it, Baji, but making like $6 million. So in this day and age, it's hard to like make the contracts work with just one sort of contract. Other than that, they have like really small contracts or really big ones. So they didn't have a lot to work with. So like, I don't want to give them a pass. They could have done more. You could argue if the timing was right, but that definitely like limited their options just in terms of what they could match to make the trades work. So I don't know. Like, I think they realize that like they're having a nice step forward, but they're not really ready to compete yet. So they weren't going to do anything crazy to, like, even if they could find a way to kind of like really power up at this point.
So that's an interesting way to put it. They really weren't ready to do anything crazy to try to power up, because that's been shown many, many times that when organizations make what would be termed desperate moves to try to improve dramatically, it once in a while it works, aka Kawhi Leonard. But on the flip side, oftentimes it doesn't work, and you end up either going laterally or backward. And the Raptors certainly don't want to go backwards, do they?
No, definitely not. Like they're kind of doing a steady build, and if something like that falls into their lap, I think they're ready. They're always ready to pounce and wanting to pounce on a really star player. I just think there wasn't that level of player out there. Like, no offense to a guy like Domantas Sabonis, but like, he's not that huge of an upgrade. He's not a Giannis level player. He's not a Kawhi level player. He's not even probably the level right below them. He's probably 2 levels below that. And is that really going to get you that far ahead? Like, at this point, not really. especially with Jakob Pertl's back sore, like you have to trade one pick. Probably you'd need one first to get a guy like Sabonis, and then another first just to get rid of Pertl. Because of you don't really know what you're getting with his back. So at this point, it doesn't really make sense to do that. It makes more sense to wait and hope that he, can reestablish his value to the team or maybe to the league even. Although I think they preferred it to, hold on to him and just go forward with that. And then, like we talked about on the show before, you have a guy like RJ Barrett who's going to be an expiring contract next year going into the season. Maybe that's how they do something, but it just didn't make sense now with the price to sort of do it. They're just sort of doing their slow build and, get back to the playoffs after a bit of an absence this year, hopefully avoid the play-in. And then, the hard thing is trying to find out how do you take that next step after this year, after you get a taste of that playoff action.
Absolutely. Talk to me about what your observations are about when the Raptors are healthy. And I guess we have to put Pertl out of the equation right now because he just has not been around enough. When he's played well, but taking that out of the equation. But when you have Brandon Ingram, when you have Scotty Barnes, RJ, of course, quickly was players puzzle are fitting together.
It's tough when you take Pertl out of the equation because I think he's just such a key piece. He's their best screen setter, probably their best rebounder, best rim defender other than Barnes, and so it's tough. Like without
really
him,
is.
I think they're really undersized. They really don't set good screens. They don't free up the players for good shots. Like they really lack the physicality, and it really shows against the best teams. They've had a terrible record against the best teams, except for some reason Cleveland. And now with James Harden's a Raptor killer, now he's there. So I think you have to throw out the results against Cleveland. Now they're a new team. So I think they're doing the best they can with these pieces, but as we talked about before, they just, they have maybe the worst collection of shooting in the NBA. That's a huge issue. They have very little size and strength. That's another huge issue. Like Colin Murray-Boyles is awesome, especially for a rookie. He's big and strong. He's just going to get bigger and stronger. But right now, he's one of their most physical players, him and Scotty Barnes and Pertl when he plays. Like that's not enough. So if you don't have enough size, physicality, shooting, you're going to have one hand tied behind your back. So I think given all those issues, they're doing, way better than anyone could expect. And it's just like, how do you keep doing that against the good teams that you're going to run into when you have these limitations?
Well, let's just stay on Pertl for just a second. What's the medical update on his recovery? Is this something that it would appear to me this is something that threatens him playing at all this season, or is this a steady recovery mode that he's in, that there is a hopeful outcome where he could come back and be relatively healthy?
This is one of the weirdest injury things I've seen in many years covering the NBA. Like they really have no idea. I know backs are really tricky. I've had some back stuff in the past, and you never really know. Like it's just such a weird injury because there's nothing like concrete that you see on an MRI or an X-ray or anything. Like it's just something wonky. And as we know, with backs, it could pop up anytime. The good news is he's been practicing a few times and said all went well. He played, a little bit in the last game before the break. And, he was clearly not himself. He was clearly limited. He couldn't really move as much, but I thought he was still one of the better Raptors in that game. If you look at plus minus, he was one of the only ones that was anywhere close to the Pistons. And he definitely seemed to be moving better in the second half as he got more used to it. So I think the hope is, and we talked to him the other day, is just, he's going to keep getting his reps. He's not going to totally take the time off. Like he basically said, my teammates deserve this break. I don't really deserve it because I've been out so long. So he's going to keep working hard, and they just need to hope that the back, he can manage it and that it just doesn't pop up. He said he's trying to play without worrying about it, just play freely, and as long as he doesn't feel any twinges, then that'll be fine. I mean, we've seen Raptors with these issues in the past. I think Fred VanVleet had a whole season where he was wearing this kind of weird contraption that kind of loosened his back. So they need him to, not be bothered by this and to play like the Jakob Pertl we've seen in the past, because when they've had that Pertl, they've been a way better team. And like I said off the top, given their lack of size and physicality, they really, really need him to be playing.
I'm talking with Ryan Wallstad. He's with the Toronto Sun, covering the Toronto Raptors here on Hoop City. Murray-Boyles, great overachiever. Just physical, like you said. He's a battler, all of that, but he's undersized. So he's not the answer, but would be a great addition to a bigger lineup when Pertl comes back. The guy that I find, and really I shouldn't spend as much time when I have the opportunity to talk with you, but I always have to ask, I just feel like why can't the Raptors get more out of Grady Dick as a shooter? That just baffles me.
Yeah, as soon as you started saying that, I knew it was going to be him. It is baffling. This guy was a dead-eye shooter at Kansas. Yeah, he had kind of unorthodox form, but there's a lot of guys that had, Matt Bonner had super weird form, and they all went in. So it's baffling that what he's turned into. Like how the best shooter in his draft looks like one of the worst players in the NBA. And I hate saying it because he's a really nice kid. I enjoy talking to him, and he works really hard. All his teammates love him, but at this point, he's not an NBA player, and they keep throwing him out there, and it's really hurting. That's been a huge reason. Is the reserves, when they had Agbaji, he was really hurting them. The minutes to Grady Dick, especially when they play him, like I like Jacoby Walter, he's an interesting role player to me, but when they play those guys together, which I think they've done way too often, like I think Darko Rajakovic and his staff have done a really great job coaching this year. But one of the things that baffles me is how often they take Barnes and Ingram out and they play like Walter and Dick at the same time, and it's just. Like it's an issue. They're not good enough together. They're not good enough apart to be out there as much as they are. So I think that's gonna be an interesting thing. Having RJ Barrett back, and we mentioned Pirtle hopefully staying healthy. I don't think RJ's been as good as he was earlier in the season since he's been back from his latest injury. He's had a couple injuries that have kept him out this year. Now he needs to be healthy too, because he is also a huge part. But back to Dick, like I don't understand what has happened to his game. I found like even as a rookie, he did a much better job, not just the shooting, but he was built as a guy who could really move off the ball, and like no one expects him to be like a Peja Stojakovic or something like that. But he was supposed to be able to get open. He was supposed to, just find his way on the court, and he just hasn't been doing that at all. And then when you at the defensive end, he's just getting basically destroyed every time. So it's rough. Like I don't know. It seems like they're trying to justify all the work they put into him in the draft pick, but at some point you have to make another call.
Well, you do, and sometimes sometimes it just doesn't work for certain players in certain environments. And I'm not saying that Grady Dick could get traded somewhere, because like I look at Duncan Robinson from Detroit, and I go, Grady Dick should be able to be as that kind of player. He should be able to, like, physically. There's no reason he can't be quite almost that effective in my mind, that he can come, like you said, move off the ball. That's not high level math. That's just mental. So I don't, and there though, I would say the only asterisk I would add to that is what is being done and I'm not second guessing the coaching. I'm just wondering what is being done to try to get this out of Grady Dick. Or is this just the fact that Grady Dick right now has lost all his confidence and has lost his way, and given his physical limitations, it just ain't there?
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up Duncan Robinson, because a few of the Raptors reporters and myself, we were talking about that at the Pistons game the other day. Like, we're like, why can't he be this? And like they'd love it if he could even be that level. I know he was supposed to be better originally, but it's just he doesn't free himself up as much. His shot simply isn't as good. He just doesn't seem as smart a player as Robinson, who maximizes everything he has. Like, I think that was a Division III player before he made his way to the NBA. Like, he just kept going up and up. And I don't know, maybe everything went right for Grady Dick too early, and it hasn't panned out now. But yeah, I don't know. It's really weird. I don't know why it's not clicking and what they can do, but I think they're just going to keep throwing him out there, honestly, because I think, like I was saying earlier, they're kind of looking at this season as house money a little bit, and they're still trying to get really more out of these young guys instead of like bringing in veterans or doing whatever. Like, I thought they should have traded his value potentially sinks even lower, but I don't really know if there was anything out there for him. But kind of hope for the best. He's had good second halves before, and I said I think they're going to keep throwing him out there and just hope that something eventually. But so far, really not.
We're having a little bit of trouble with our signal right now, Ryan. You're breaking up a little bit. But I have to tell you, though, the maybe the worst decision I've ever seen for a commercial, and it must be successful because it still runs, is Grady Dick shaving. Because it looks like he couldn't grow a peach fuzz mustache. That's got to be the easiest shave in the world. So, Ryan, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. It's it was a weird choice.
It
for sure.
really
It's
was.
like, I don't know.
A lot
There's
of
been some
thicker
weird Raptor
beers out there.
commercials over the years, but yeah.
Okay, final question for you. The Raptors now, we head into the stretch run. Eastern Conference, James Harden's with Cleveland. You got Zubac in Boston. It's going to intensify in the Eastern Conference. All the rumors about the possibility of Tatum coming back. I mean, that's far-fetched, of course. That would be one of those things that you can't base any predictions on. How do you see the Raptors being able to compete in the East? Like, if you had to pick today 1 through 10, where would you see the Raptors finishing today if you had to pick a number?
I feel like they will be 6th or 7th.
I'm right on with you there.
I think they'll be neck and neck for the play-in or just making the playoffs outright. I feel like Orlando is just better than they've shown, and they're better. They should be better than the Raptors. It just hasn't come together. It will. But yeah, I see them in that range where they're really trying to hang on to a playoff spot, but might slip into the play-in. I'd like to see them play the 4-5, Cleveland and them. I think that would be really interesting. Like I said, they have had their number, but now James Harden changes the equation. If Evan Mobley's healthy, I'm not sure how they deal with Jared Allen and Mobley. So I think that would be really fascinating. But yeah, I think they're they're a lesser, playoff team in the East. Like, there's the clear-cut guys at the top. They haven't found any way to match up with New York. They got killed by the Pistons the first time. I think it's going to keep happening, especially when the Pistons get some of their good big men back. And, a terrible matchup for them as well. So I think they're kind of, the best of the rest after the maybe 4 teams.
The fact that they're in that best of the rest conversation after some years of real difficulties, that's a great thing to hear. So it's going to be an exciting end of the season for the Toronto Raptors. Ryan, we'll look forward to having you on again. Thanks so much for making time today. Always wonderful to talk to you. Take care, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Ryan Wolstad, Toronto Sun, covers the Toronto Raptors. I want you to watch the Raptors because it's great to have a team that's winning games again. Like Ryan said, they have some limitations, but maybe they'll overcome some of those limitations as the season goes on. We're going to take a break right now. Then we're going to have a conversation with Samantha Ringette, our community champion of the week. When we come back, and after that, Milos Prijovic. We're going to talk about the why of the greatness of Serbia in the sport of basketball. You're listening to Hoop City with Paul Sir and Josh Fenwick on your sports leader, Sports 1440.
Own and run a small business? Innovative Benefits provides private health service plan setup, as well as administration services for businesses like yours. But the best part is, Innovative Benefits offers benefit plans that cost less than the industry average, 20 to 40% less. And they provide 100% coverage with no insurance company rules, administration, or interference. So if you have medical, dental, or healthcare expenses, their plans will always increase your cash flow. Visit innovativebenefits.ca for more.
Saturday mornings live on Sports 1440. Powered by Subaru. Built for real-life confidence. Visit Subaru.ca.
We're no longer right for each other. You're old, heavy, and I'm tired of coming home to you.
Ready to break it off with your dining room set? Mobler Modern Furniture has your new match. Bold looks and modern features in sets for as little as 4 for the downsizers to as many as 10 for the big feast foodies. Swipe through MoblerEdmonton.ca today. Then come find the dining room furniture you'll fall in love with again. Be bold. Break the mold with Mobler Modern Furniture.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Mr. REA, here to tell you a little bit about Battle River Power Co-op. We've been keeping the lights on since 1949, and we do it without breaking the bank. How? By keeping things local. We have local folks making the decisions and local crews doing the work out of our local head office. That means you get fair prices, service you can count on, and dollars that stay close to home. Battle River Power Co-op. Member-owned, community-powered.
Sports 1440 is your front row seat to the wild world of sports. Local legends, national headlines, and everything in between. Your game, your station. This is Sports 1440. Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
This is Hoop City with Paul Sir on Sports 1440.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! We did it!
Here's your host, Paul Sir.
Welcome back, Hoop City. Paul's playlist today, best rock pop love songs. I love that song. 1977, that was my last year in college. I'll tell you what, Josh, we were hitting the dance floor with that one. Poll question. Once again, make sure you're letting us know whether you think the NBA should be changing the 65-game requirement for the MVP. That's a yes or no answer. Get us back to us. And also, NBA legend, are we getting any suggestions, Josh?
None that I can see right now. We do have a couple in the tank.
Okay.
From previous weeks, but right now. No.
Okay. And I've got one that I am going to go to if we don't get any suggestions. So we'll announce that in our last segment. But right now, I want to talk about our Community Champion of the Week. It's sponsored by Innovative Benefits. If it's time for you to review your company benefits, personal insurance plans, or investment strategies, talk to Randy and his team at Innovative Benefits. They will give you the straightforward and honest advice and access to the best products in the industry. Trust the great folks at Innovative Benefits to do what's best for you, your family, and your business. To find out more, go to innovativebenefits.ca. And our community champion this week is someone very, very special. Samantha Ringette works tirelessly in the community to bring basketball opportunities and sport opportunities through her teaching and her coaching to young girls and young women in our city and surrounding areas. Samantha, welcome this morning, and thank you for making time from your busy schedule. I know you're at an event right now, so thank you for making time.
Thank you for asking me.
So Samantha, give our listeners your story. How did you acquire and develop such a passion for the sport of basketball and also for coaching the sport of basketball with the kind of zeal that you coach it with?
I honestly don't know how I got into basketball in the elements that I had. I grew up playing all different kinds of sports with all different style of coaches, and you kind of pick the ways that you want to lead from the people that lead you growing up. And I had some really great leaders that made a real big impact on me. And
give us an example of one of those great leaders and why they made such an impact in your life.
Well, I had a chemistry teacher in high school, and she didn't have to do much. She just has to be the positive presence in my life to make me see that I'm capable of doing things that I want to do. And might not be sport related, but it showed me that someone believed in me and that I can do things if someone believes in me. And I felt that there was a bit of a gap for that in sports in our city, specifically with girls. You see a lot of awesome promotion of men's sports and boys' sports, but you don't get that same feel for the girls.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to give them that opportunity to have great basketball training, but also a community that believed in them.
I love the fact that you referred to a chemistry teacher because I think oftentimes athletes are influenced by people other than their coaches, and that help them connect the dots like you just articulated very, very well, Samantha. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's really significant. So now you offer these opportunities to young women to have this kind of outstanding training. Talk about the programs that you run.
Well, I started a program called Altitude Basketball about 4 years ago, so we're relatively new, and started with just a small group of about 20 girls and had an incredibly successful season. So we run spring programs for U10 all the way up to U18. And then we run, probably the biggest part of our club is our fall 3-on-3. So we had close to 100 girls doing 3-on-3 basketball throughout the fall this year. And that is for absolutely any athlete who wants to play. We had girls who have never touched a basketball before to girls who are signing to play ACAC in U Sport. So it didn't matter where you came from. We wanted you there just to play. And it was fantastic. The growth we saw in some of these girls, from not being able to dribble the ball with confidence to by the end being able to go between their legs, was fantastic.
Now, what I'm of course, as we have talked many times, my passion for 3x3. The fact that you have invested in this in the way that you have with your efforts. I'm not talking monetarily. I'm talking about your efforts, Samantha, your vision. And you hit on something I think that's really critical here. I've been watching a lot of basketball in the community recently, different age levels. And if I have an observation, particularly, it's for both genders, but on the girls' side, the development of girls with fundamental skills when they're just playing 5-on-5. I think it's harder at young ages to develop real good, sound fundamentals. Do you think, and it's a bit of a leading question, but do you think, Samantha, that 3x3 enables better development in key fundamental skill areas at younger ages than 5-on-5?
100%. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to start running it, because you can't really hide in 3-on-3.
Right.
You have to be willing to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to move, because if you're not moving, then you're going 2-on-3 or 1-on-3, and that's a lose-lose situation for that offensive program or that offensive team. Everyone touches the basketball, and you learn through those experiences. You learn through the gameplay, and it's so fun. We've had such positive support from all the families with our 3-on-3 program. We've been asked to run it through the winter, especially at our younger age groups with U11 and U13. And we ran our U11 program this year the first time. We put the nets low at the 8.5 foot height. And watching them play was so cool, because they learned how to cut. They learned how to space. And at U11, that can often be hard, especially in a 5-on-5. So watching them being able to understand that and then bring it to their community teams was really cool to watch.
Well, I love the way that you describe that for U11. You're on 8.5 foot hoops, and the time that the kids are spending is with the basketball in a concentrated area. Like you said, you can't hide, and hide almost has a negative ramification, but that isn't negative at all. It means, like you said, you have to put yourself out there. You're going to have to be involved. You really have no choice, because you're in a smaller space, less distance to cover with only 2 teammates. So you're going to touch the ball. So the necessity to try things becomes very real. You can only hide so long, and it's so much less threatening than 5-on-5. Is that a truism from your experience as well, Samantha?
Oh, 100%. I love 3-on-3 because it also forces them to be teammates. It forces you to have that teamwork and work together and find ways to work together. Because the moment that our U13 started realizing that they're going to draw that defense towards them, someone else is going to be open. So now they need to work on their passing to get their teammates open. And it's a very meaningful and very engaging way to develop your skills.
Well, the thing about you, Samantha, that I've observed personally, but many others who know you, who work with you, who compete against you, you've developed a huge amount of respect in the basketball community because of your walking the walk of really making your program about the athlete. You're not exorbitantly expensive. That's a whole different topic, that whole club world for both girls and boys.
Definitely.
But what I'm looking for, what I look for in people's character in terms of walking the walk is making this accessible, affordable, and making it easier for kids and their families to make decisions to get their child involved in it, because they get carried. I think it just gets so carried away into Instagram, social media, clothes, traveling to tournaments. And what you're talking about is the essence of the game, which is skill development, and more than that, becoming a great teammate and character development as well.
Yep. Like, we're a fully volunteer. So with this club, like, I don't get paid. Everything our coaches are doing is volunteer based. And our number one focus is to empower those girls, to help them build their confidence, help them build their leadership. We've had some high school girls, one is in grade 12, one's in grade 11, and they've been coaching with our younger programs for the last couple years, and that's helping them develop leadership. We're very intentional with what we do, and I think that's not always common, but hopefully gonna get more common.
You're being very kind. It's not common. It's not common. No, I'll rephrase that. It's not common enough. What you're describing is not common enough. The capitalist impact on basketball has influenced how people behave. Like the fact that you are intentional, you're developing young people along with yourself. You're a young person yourself, Samantha. Yep. Way ahead of your time, wise beyond your years. Share with our listeners and viewers how they can get in touch with you and learn more about your program if they're considering having their child participate.
Well, we have a website, altitudebasketball.ca, and we're very active on Instagram and social media. Those are definitely the best ways to get a hold of us.
Okay.
We run lots of camps through the summer, skill sessions, and of course our 3-on-3. When it opens, it fills. So
altitudebasketball.ca. Folks, do your child a favor. Go to altitudebasketball.ca. This is the real deal. This is really about the kids, and they're going to get better. Samantha, you are, like I said, you walk the walk. Samantha Ringette, thank you so much for joining us. You are truly a community champion.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Samantha Ringette joining us today here on Sports 1440 on Hoop City. Paul Sir, Josh Fenwick. We're going to take a break right now. I'm really excited about our next guest. Milos Prijovic is a great young guy, and he has a wonderful story to tell, but we're going to delve into a topic I'm really quite passionate about. Why are the Serbs so darn good in basketball? Join us.
Saturday mornings live on Sports 1440. Powered by Subaru. Safety, reliability, and uncommon value. Visit Subaru.ca.
Seriously, Sarah, this kitchen renovation is incredible. I've been admiring your countertop all night. It has to be imported marble, right?
I'll let you in on a little secret. It's concrete.
Get out. Concrete? It's so polished and beautiful.
I know. We got it from Darren at Alberta Custom Concrete. He said, why cover up your home's best feature?
Wait, don't tell me this heated floor is concrete too. It looks like a single piece of polished stone.
You got it. No grout lines, and it's practically indestructible. They call it a forever floor.
Stop hiding your home's potential under laminate and tile. At Alberta Custom Concrete, we transform ordinary concrete into extraordinary art. From stunning marble-like floors to sleek countertops, dramatic feature walls. We don't pour it, we perfect it. See the wow factor for yourself in the gallery and get your free no-obligation estimate today at albertacustomconcrete.com.
This Valentine's Day, love is in the air and in the oven, too. Say it from the heart with fresh homemade Valentine's Day treats from Farmhouse Bakery in Camrose. From the moment you walk in, you're surrounded by the warm aroma of baking made from scratch with real ingredients. Perfect for your loved one or just for yourself. Fresh baked goodies, warm from the oven, sweet to the soul. Farmhouse Bakery, where every bite is a love story. Next to Dairy Queen, Camrose.
Sleep is for the off-season. What off-season? Sports 1440 is live, loud, and locked 24/7. Oilers, Elks, Riverhawks, Stingers, Oil Kings. We've got your fix. Edmonton's home for sports is Sports 1440.
When your driveway's covered in snow, Toro and the Lawnmower Hospital have you covered. Toro's gas or battery-powered single-stage power-clear snowblowers make it easy to clear right down to the concrete with incredible Toro-powered Propel technology. Face the next snow day without fear thanks to Toro and the Lawnmower Hospital. Visit lawnmowerhospital.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
Learn to speak Italian. Center Shop with Teresa Spinelli.
Today's word is amore, and it's all about using treats to say what's in your heart. Valentine's sweets like heart-shaped donuts, strawberry and chocolate mousses, and bacio torta speak the language of love. And nothing says amore like our chocolate-dipped strawberries. Pick up yours today and see all the treats to share with the ones you love for Valentine's at Italian Center Shop, where amore than a grocery store.
Wondering what to get your sweetheart this Valentine's Day? How about the gift of from Metal Supermarkets? They sell it, cut it, and bend it fast. Nothing says love like a sheet of solid steel to last a lifetime, just like your affection. Or you could do the old box of chocolate thing. So predictable. Be better. Metal Supermarkets, the local convenience stores for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
Just think, Kevin Karius has been covering Edmonton sports since before TikTok, Twitter, texting, and the Titanic. We may have made that last one up. Check out Karius in the mornings on Sports 1440. Your game, your station.
This month in Sports History Moment is brought to you by Discount Diesel Parts.
February 28th, 2010. Men's hockey team wins Olympic gold. The Canadian men's hockey team won the Olympic gold medal at the Vancouver Winter Olympics, defeating the United States 3-2 in overtime when Sidney Crosby, assisted by Jerome McGinley, scored against the U.S. Crosby's golden goal is considered one of the greatest in the history of Canadian hockey.
Hi, folks. This is Big Al from Discount Diesel Parts. Interstate McBee is a highly respected manufacturer with over 70 years' experience in the heavy-duty diesel engine parts industry. And as an authorized dealer, we've been serving Western Canada with those high-quality engine parts for highway trucks, farm machinery, heavy equipment, transit, and marine, and at a great price, too. Reach us at discountdiesel.ca and know that Discount Diesel's got the parts to get it done.
Diablo Boots sells only Canadian-made work and biker boots made by Canada West. No American or boots made in China, so no tariffs. All of Diablo's boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. Sizes 6 to 14 EEE. Buy quality, buy Canadian. And support Canada West and Diablo, the two best names in the boot business. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Buy Canadian. They're terrific.
It's like a locker room, minus the smell.
Ew.
Kevin Karius brings the banter, the buzz, and the bold sports talk. Weekday mornings from 7 to 11 on Sports 1440, Edmonton's home for sports. This is Hoop City with Paul Sir on Sports 1440.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! We did it!
Here's your host, Paul Sir.
All right. Welcome back. Hoop City, Paul Sir, Josh Fenwick joining you today from Sports 1440. I have had something on my mind for some time. I remember watching the Paris Olympics, and the Serbian Olympic team played the American Olympic team, the vaunted Olympic team, LeBron, Steph Curry, all the great players. And through 3 3/4 of the game, the Serbian team had the Americans on the ropes. And it was only through, I think, a bit of luck, maybe a little bit of home cooking on the official side, that the Americans eked out a win against the Nikola Jokic-led Serbian national team. But it wasn't all just Nikola Jokic. It was an example of how great the basketball is in the country of Serbia. Now, Serbia is a small country, about 10 million people. Yeah. 6 to 7. Oh, wow. 7 million people. And they produce some of the greatest basketball players in the world. But also you see Djokovic in tennis. at 38 years old, still getting to a Grand Slam final. The marvelous, and I had the privilege of coaching our next guest. Milos Prijovic came to Concordia University, where I was the head coach, from Serbia via a junior college in Minnesota, and came to Concordia to play out his career, was an all-Canadian. Milos had a wonderful career, one of my absolute favorite players I've ever had the privilege of coaching. And I invited Milos in today so we could have a conversation about his native Serbia, and also, of course, about Milos's decision to, for the time being anyway, to make his life here in Canada. Milos, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Coach, and thank you for having me.
It's awesome.
Thank you for nice words.
They come easily because they're all true. So, Milos, you played basketball growing up in Serbia, obviously. Let's talk about the experience that you had. What was it like when did you start playing? Let's start there.
Let's start there. As most kids in Serbia, we start with soccer, right?
Right.
So I did play soccer for 5 years before probably grade 7. I was really much taller than my other peers, and I started playing basketball just because one of my neighbors was a basketball coach, and he's like, "Come with me for a few practices." There you go.
Okay.
That's how I started.
So 7th grade.
7th grade, yes.
So what was now you don't have school basketball per se, correct? It's all club based.
It's all club based. Yes, that's a huge difference between, for example, North American and European style of early, careers, early development. That's right. That we have clubs, and technically whenever you start, and usually kids start with around 6, 7, 8, years old. They do play for clubs, and when you play for clubs, that's right away on certain level, because you have technically practices every day except weekends. Here is more, I know, if you play for a school, they have once or twice per week, most of them, not all of them, and that itself is a huge difference. From early stage, you do go, that becomes your second most important thing after school.
Okay.
It's basketball, and you beg your parents that they have money to put you through when they go, for example, for tournaments outside of the city, because most of the stuff you have to pay from your pocket.
Okay.
So often you don't go on those, we call it excursions, how you say it, when you go outside the school, see different cities and stuff.
Okay, so they take a road trip.
Road trips, I guess. Yes,
Yeah.
road trips. Yes. And you tell your parents, "Hey, I want to save that money so I can go with a club on road trips." Let's say on the mountain when we have a period where we prepare for the next season, and those are early sacrifices that lots of kids will do it no matter what. They choose club over going with their. I mean, of course, who can afford? You want to go everywhere you could.
Sure.
But if you had to choose, which I had to choose, I always selected club.
No. I want to get into the real quickly into the nitty gritty.
Yes.
All right. You're in 7th grade. You join a club. Is there a fee to join that club?
Yes, usually it is a fee. Certain amount. Yeah.
Certain
per
amount
month.
of money to
Per month.
practice and play league games
Yes.
for that club.
That's right.
And you practice 5 times a week, and do you play one league game on the
And
weekend?
yes, on weekend, usually Sundays or Saturdays, you play one game. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you talk about the tournaments, then it's just straight cost basis, out of pocket. We're going from here to here. It's going to cost X amount to play in the tournament, X amount for your food and your housing, etc. So this is how much money it's
That's
gonna
right.
be.
I mean, big clubs like, Red Star and Partizan and
Yes.
stuff. Yes, they would have, for their players, big teams, they have money. But if you're playing in smaller teams and local clubs, definitely they cannot sustain all of that. And
Okay, and when
Yeah.
you talk about Red Star, they also have soccer, right?
they have, that's
soccer,
a whole,
and then
it's
EuroLeague
whole-
basketball. Like
yes,
it's a whole
yes.
big
Those are,
business.
it's a big business. Exactly. I mean, I'm talking more about smaller local clubs. where parents technically finance everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. In that respect, it's the same as here. It's just the model's so different because the emphasis is on 5 days of practice and skill development. And that kind of dovetails, Milos, into, kind of the nature of our conversation, because you look at a player like Nikola Jokic, like he's not fast.
Yeah.
He couldn't jump over Wetaskiwin's phone book.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to leap out of the gym.
Yeah.
But his, and of course there are intangibles that he was just gifted and born with. He's 7 feet tall. He sees the court. He's got the mental gifts that you can't really teach, but there was a system that developed those gifts. And it sounds to me, and this is where I want your opinion. Don't you find the technical, one of the reasons the Serbian players are so good is because they are so fundamentally sound?
100%.
Yeah.
That's exactly, I mean, like you said, those basics and Steve would know the best. He played also in Europe. Those fundamentals and basics, and actually how to think about game, not just because obviously we are not huge athletes in a sense of we can jump out of gym or super fast or whatever. I mean, whole Europe is similar in that way, right? Compared to NBA or North America. So definitely they had to focus on that, and all that old school coaching and what we brought from like Yugoslav era kind of thing, transition to obviously kids starting at early age, and then constantly practice, game. And like I said, becomes your, second most important thing after school.
Well, now, and I'm talking to Milos Prijovic, all-Canadian at Concordia University. He's joining us, and we're talking about the greatness of Serbian basketball and really trying to get into where this emanates from and what makes it special in the world here on Hoop City with Paul Sir and Josh Fenwick. So, okay, you're part of the club. Do they encourage multi-sport participation? Like, what's your club season like, or do you specialize at a young age?
Technically, you specialize at the young age. You won't have time to go on 3 different, if you're a basketball player, you're expected to be here every night after school.
For how many months out of the year?
So technically, similar time frame as the school goes. So, September,
school season.
Yes, school season, yes, definitely. But then you have summer leagues, right?
Okay.
During the breaks. So usually you're expected to play those as well. It's not like you have to, because a lot of parents would take kids on vacation and stuff. So you'll be certain period of time away. But again, you're expected when you are in the city to come to practice. And yeah.
Okay, so you've got it mirrors the school year, in terms of the formal club practice, and then summer leagues kick in for more opportunities.
Yes.
Now, one of the things, I played basketball in Belgium in 1977-78.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and what struck me back then was the orderliness and the tiering of sport, soccer. It didn't matter what sport, basketball. It didn't really matter. But there was a formal tiering based on your level of ability.
That's right.
And it's very specific, and they make no bones about it. Like, if you're a top level player, you're identified, and you are promoted and pushed into that
major
situation.
league or whatever. Yes.
Yeah, the best are here.
Yes.
But then from there, you kind of find your water table on where you fit. This is both for ability and for development, but is fun. But here's my question. Was it fun? Is basketball, like in the developmental stage in Serbia, fun? Like, you have old school coaches like you, including playing for poor Mila. And there's, I may even share a story or two before this is over about the terrible things I did as a coach. But was it fun? I mean, I know it's intoxicating, but was it fun for a young
like
person?
You said, for me, for example, yes, it was fun. It was my way of channeling my energy, and definitely that we don't play just to compete. That's whole another level of is it right or not. But coaches don't teach you there. You play here to just to play. It's just because there is nothing else to do, and your parents told you go
right
so you can go early to bed.
Yeah.
Go play sports so you can sleep good.
Yeah.
Every coach there teaches you that you are here to win, and it is expected to win. So no matter who you play against, it's expected to win. And I think that I got hooked up to that adrenaline more than anything. That yes, I'll shoot as much as I need, off court. So when I go in, no matter who is in front of me, you will take the shot and you will show him that you're also made of.
But that's a great point, and that to me is universal. That whether it's Canada, the U.S., Serbia,
Yes.
wherever it is in the world, you have to show your athletes have to find that one thing. Do you ever see the movie City Slickers?
I don't think so.
All right. There's a great scene in there, a classic scene, where the Billy Crystal asks Jack Palance, "What's the secret to life?" And Jack Palance says, "One thing." And Billy Crystal says, "What is that?" And he said, "That's for you to figure out." But that's what you have to figure out in basketball.
That's right.
Is that you have to show the coach that you deserve to be on the court, that he can't keep you off the court, like you showed
right.
me.
That's exactly. And if I can jump in there, over there, I mean, first of all, to start before everything, tough times make tough people. And, a lot of guys from that area and from that region really went through a lot of tough times, sanctions in 90s, wars,
war.
99.
Actually,
war. Actual war. Like people cannot even, whoever was not in
Grasp.
war, you cannot even grasp that. Like, I remember because I was in 1999, I already had 11 years old, right? So you could see everything. You could see, tomahawks flying and whatnot. That wasn't usually Novak Djokovic is talking about when, his parents sell everything just so he can make it. And, so emotions in Serbia in general, probably in that area, are not the first thing, emotions come later. I mean, you have to figure it out. They often say when you're born, they teach you not to afraid of anyone except God. And in that sense, it's more about, hey, coach, I don't feel this and that, it's like, I don't care, figure it out. It's kind of mentality. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But you better get out on the court.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what fascinates me, because like in North America, Milos, as you can see, there's always this constant battle. You've got capitalist pressures in basketball.
Yes.
Like for a lot of kids playing now, the clubs are playing for are businesses.
Yes.
And it's all about money. Now, was there a profit motive? Like what my image is, and tell me if this is accurate. The club that you played for was an organization, and they paid their staff, they pay their coach, they pay their coaches.
Yes.
And it's a formal organization.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. And that's where your money comes into it. But it's not, and I'm guessing here, at the top levels, as you go up, you get paid more.
Yes.
In the food chain. But at the second division, third division, you're not getting rich doing this.
No, you're not getting probably any money. It's more like a non-profit organization here, really. So, you have enough money to pay your staff, and it about ends there, stuff, maybe some, basketballs, equipment, and that's about it. So,
well, in Serbia is the standard of living, the incomes that Serbian people have to live with is far lower than North America per capita.
Yeah,
correct?
definitely. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
So it really takes single-minded dedication on the part of everybody involved. And it seems like, and tell me if this is accurate, here it just seems very confusing.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like in Serbia, it's less so. Like it's a clear black and white choices.
Pretty much. That's exactly. It seems like black and white in the sense that, do you want to play basketball? Yes, I will. If I will, that means that I will put everything into it, and everything I can. Of course, not everyone will make it pro or whatever. I mean, technically, I didn't make it pro, but I'm still super happy with what I made. In a sense, I played college basketball. I had that opportunity, but dedication and everything else. Definitely, it's not like I'll play a little bit. Usually, those guys play for a year maybe, and that's it. They quit. Whoever is not ready to be under constant, somewhat pressure. I don't know if I should call it, but it is at one point because.
And it starts young.
Yeah, it starts young. It definitely starts young, and you learn very fast to cope with your emotions and with your like, oh, I had a bad day or whatever. I don't feel like doing stuff. It's like it doesn't matter. Too bad. Yes, yeah, exactly.
Interesting, because and what I saw in the Olympics was exactly that. Now, this is what I heard. I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but I found it really fascinating. Is I heard that for 28 days before the Olympics, the Serbian training facility was closed to the media, and they had I think it was like 1 or maybe 2 press opportunities. But you got Nikola Jokic coming off his NBA season, going behind closed doors with his countrymen and teammates, because this was no nonsense.
Yes.
This was no nonsense.
Yes.
And then they go out and they win a bronze medal.
Yes.
And they just do phenomenal things. Fascinating, because the opposite is over here. It's the Apollo Creed fight against Doug and Rocky 3 or 4. It's like exactly that.
No, that's great explanation. I mean, on one side is definitely big business and entertainment. How North Americans, everything is big capitalism, and it's just the way of culture, how it works here, and what is right or wrong. It's very hard to say here, but. Definitely on that side, especially as a small nation, I mean, all your pride goes into those small winnings, really. So for us, to be in the finals of Olympic Games, and I mean, believe me, no matter time, if I watch that game again, I would probably cry again. I mean, being up plus 15 and just kind of not winning it is tough no matter what. But, we had good history in the sense of being world champions 5 times and European champions, I don't even know, 6, 7, 8, whatever. It's definitely it's hard to imagine that such a small nation, no matter what team is together, with Jokic, without Jokic, it is expected that you be in a final. And
and anything less is a disappointment.
It's total disappointment. Yes,
total disappointment.
Yes.
And I think
that's
really
very hard to play with that kind also.
That is hard. That the pressure is enormous.
Media,
and I would make the transition real quickly over to Djokovic in tennis.
Yes.
That's what I see in him. He's not the most likable guy.
And
for much of his career, when you have charismatic Roger Federer and
Rafa
Nadal, and everybody loves them, and they're just great guys. And you got Djokovic out there, and he's temperamental. He breaks rackets, but his expectation is to win every match, and he is the greatest tennis player of all time because he's won the most majors and was almost able to do it again now at age 38. It's incredible, but it's that single-mindedness and not caring about what the other people think as much as people get caught up here is my assessment.
Definitely. I mean, now we know him for so many years, right? Playing at this level. So we learned about him a lot. But, what we also have to appreciate, but again, we, in a sense of like Serbian nation, is what he did. And we often don't even watch his matches until he's in like at least quarterfinal and semifinals. That's sometimes
you're so used to his winning.
Because it's like, okay, first 2 games, it doesn't really matter. Expected, 2-0, 3-0, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we, but again, what he did and what he's doing is really from country that Okay, before that, I think we had the girl Monica Seles
right
in 1990s. Before that, I don't know if
stabbing.
you're stabbing.
Yeah.
You know, coach.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. So I mean, really, we are not tennis nation
No.
at all. Like,
No, he's
you
a
know,
one-off.
one-off, but
And there
yeah.
are some other real good
Yeah, yeah,
Serbian
yeah.
players, but not
not
like that.
not even close to that level.
Yeah, yeah, just a special guy. But a lot of it comes from that special mentality that without, he wouldn't be what he is. If he didn't have that singular focus that you're describing,
That's right.
that's part of Serbia.
That's right.
A couple of quick anecdotes before we wrap up. Number one, we've run our 3x3 event here every year, and every year it's won by the Serbs.
Hey, you.
And every year the Serbian population from Edmonton comes out and has a ball supporting, bringing that almost soccer style support.
Yes.
It's wonderful. And I have to go back to Milos, the fact that I had the privilege to coach you. I challenged you harder than anybody else I ever coached because I knew you could handle it. And at times I felt like Milos needs this. And I wouldn't say this to anybody else but Milos. And I remember one time you said, after that comment, I hated you, coach. And I deserved it because what I said was just awful. But you went out and in that game, you had 25 points and 26 rebounds. And we won in overtime. And it was like I knew you had that in you. That other players just, if I said that to them, they would break and fall apart.
Do you know that that's exactly game that I, even though that was not, it was a playoff game, if I remember,
Yes,
in
it was.
state, right?
Yes.
Or somewhere there.
Mount Royal.
Mount Royal,
Yeah.
yes. And I remember that's one of the games that I will never forget. In that game, that was the game we have word inat in Serbia, which is like stubborn pride. It's hard to translate, but
Yeah.
that's what we usually try to explain to. Anyways, that's probably the game that in the game I said, I came to Canada. I went through a lot. I really, I did practice.
Yes.
I know I'm better than these guys who we play against.
Yes.
And we beat them in season, I think twice, by like
Killed them.
them,
Yeah.
not beat them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
And then we
Augustana,
are in
yeah.
playoffs, like it's done. Today is done. Like
Yeah.
if we don't win, it's done.
Yeah.
Like whole year is, and we were down by 15, 20, I don't
20
remember.
at half.
20 at half.
Yeah.
And,
One in overtime.
and literally second half, I told myself, listen, I was talking to God, literally like, I'm going to die today on this court. Like, I don't care about my pulse or anything. If you remember, I was probably not nice to even my players.
You
like,
were. And that was wonderful.
I was like,
that was
I
wonderful.
remember Ethan is probably telling me, calm down. I told him, I don't want to calm down. I was like screaming at him.
Well, I remember that game because Lee Dandifer from Augustana was just on fire.
Yes.
And gosh, what's John's name?
They were making
everything out of
I
their
know.
minds. It was their
like,
game.
Yes,
They're
yes.
out of their minds. They're up 20 at half. And John, and I forget his last name, he coaches and teaches at St. FX. Wonderful player. Started
Yeah.
to lock Lee down. Ethan had 34 and you had 25 and 26. And
Yeah,
but you were the red hot burning fire on the
And-
court. That was just, I am not going to lose. And we battled back and won in overtime.
I know. It was at the end, I think me and Ethan just shooting and like grabbing that ball. Like we were going for our own shots. Like we are not giving
No,
a second.
you were. No, there was no doubt. You guys were going to win the game, and we did.
Oh my
it was
God.
marvelous.
But it is for sure. That's one of the games. People often think it's just like top games are the kind of like finals and whatnot. Definitely finals are huge games, but for individual players, often they have this much smaller game that meant much more to
Yes.
them to prove to themselves than anything else.
And don't you feel like that kind of game, that kind of obstacle that was in front of us, in front of you, that had to be overcome, that's what you take the most from in life when you can prove to yourself that no matter what the situation is, you have the ability to overcome it and come out on top.
No doubt, 100%. And like I said, if there was any game that I would watch again and go through again, it would be that one.
game.
Yeah,
That's so true. Milos, we're unfortunately out of time. This has been absolutely delightful. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having me. It is always a pleasure seeing you, and
Likewise.
I'm sure
All
we'll
our
see you
best and
again.
love to your family. So
Thank you.
Milos Prijovic, all Canadian at Concordia University, joining us here on the Deep Dive. on Hoop City. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back for a real quick wrap-up.
Take your skating to the next level with Aligned Custom Skate Performance in Sherwood Park. We make your skates feel like an extension of you. From kids lacing up for the first time to beer league warriors to elite level pros, we fit every skater with precision and care. Only a Duster goes straight from off the shelf to on the ice. Our expert alignment process ensures the perfect fit, eliminating pressure points and maximizing your blade's performance. Aligned Custom Skate gives you the edge where it matters most, on the ice. Stop being the team grocery stick and visit AlignedSkate.com today. Whether it's a full custom fitting or professional sharpening, we've got you covered. So don't just skate, skate aligned. Book your appointment today and feel the difference. Discover why we're trusted by hockey pros and podium champions. Help us cure the bender in your life. Once again, visit AlignedSkate.com to get started.
Saturday mornings live on Sports 1440, powered by Subaru. The perfect choice for Alberta's challenging weather and road conditions. Visit Subaru.ca.
Howdy, folks. Mr. REA here to talk about something important. Reliability. When the wind howls and the snow flies, are you on a team that knows your roads and your needs? That's Battle River Power Co-op. Our team is local. That's how we maintain the fastest response times in our service areas. Neighbors helping neighbors. That's the power of a power co-op. Battle River Power Co-op. Member-owned, community-powered.
Place to cheer for Canada loud and proud is Selly's Sports Bar and Lounge. The ultimate sports bar to watch the ultimate winter events. Not a bad seat in the house, tons of big screens, and a first place menu with something for everyone. Small bites, big bites, game night food and drink features. Cheer on Canada's team at Selly's at all 3 Century Casino locations, Edmonton, St. Albert, and Century Mile.
Every day is game day at Century Casino.
If you're without personal health insurance benefits from your employer and are self-employed or retiring, contact Innovative Benefits. Innovative Benefits helps break down personal health plans to put you in the driver's seat and reduce your net cost. They'll help identify the best plan for you and your family so you can pay for what you do use and look how to reduce what you don't use. Don't be left out in the cold. Understand all your options with Innovative Benefits. For more information, visit innovativebenefits.ca today.
This is Hoop City with Paul Sir on Sports 1440.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry! We did it!
Here's your host, Paul Sir.
Welcome back. This is going to be real brief. The delightful interview with Milos went long, and I'm glad it did. Josh, let's get the poll update.
Yeah. Poll update. It's split 50-50. People don't know whether or not they should change it or not. Quite a few votes for yes, quite a few votes for no, but yeah, split right down that middle.
Again, our audience is so brilliant because that's exactly where it should be, because I know there are compelling reasons on both sides. How in the world do you change it that late? We won't do an NBA legend this week. Bears play this afternoon. Paul's playlist will be up on X. Also, look for our podcast. You can listen to the entire show or any of the segments that we have just by going to your favorite podcast provider. Also put out our 3 from Deep blog on our website, 3x3ba.ca. As we do every week, the most important part of the program is this song by my son Ben with his band, Worst Days Down. It's dedicated to David Finkelman. We lost both David and Ben far, far too early. And the message I always want to share with people, tell the people that you love, you cannot tell them that you love them enough. And be kind to others, expect the best, always expect the best about others. Don't make judgments. Otherwise, we don't know what people are going through in their lives. Be kind at all times, as Ben was. Thank you so much for spending today. It was a great show, a great time. I hope you have a great week. Hope it sounds like a little more winter weather is coming back to Edmonton, but that's okay. We're still in the midst of winter. You've been listening to Hoop City with Paul Sir, Josh Fenwick. Have a great week on and off the court, and we'll see you next week.
Jason Gregor isn't just a sports guy. He's a community builder with over $3 million raised for local charities. And his